Being 7 p.m., I'll call the meeting to order. Commission on the City, Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, 7 p.m. Hybrid meeting with public hearings. First order roll call. Chairman Frank Manfredi is out this evening. Kathy Wozeka is online, along with Ella Miles is online. Nicholas Fortson is present, and I, the Vice Chairman, Dean Mason, presiding over the meeting this evening. Any comments first? So we'll go through the minutes. Approval of minutes of October 21st, 25 meeting. Any motion to approve the minutes?
This is Ella.
I'll make
that motion.
Ella Miles will make that motion. And
this is Kathy Wozeka, and I'll make that motion. I'll second that motion.
Kathy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nick abstained, who's not here. Approved. Communication from the staff.
Sure, a few different things. We have the Connecticut Federation for Planning and Zoning quarterly newsletter from the fall, but I will make copies for everyone and send it to you by email. We also have a revised schedule that came from the State of Connecticut Siting Council, and this was for docket 544, which is the ARX wireless infrastructure application for 577 West Main Street. I did submit the letter on your behalf, and we received back their revised schedule. The application was received. The hearing for this application is January 15th, 2026. And we do have other opportunities to submit more testimony if we want. And then the last thing, well, two things. Later in the meeting, I have a letter, a memorandum from the zoning enforcement officer for a use variance application under other business that I will read at that time. And the last is just information of OLR bill analysis is HB 8002, which a lot of people have heard about, which is the housing bill that was just passed during the special session. It's many pages long, I think over 100, and I have information about that. We're disseminating this as we speak because we're in the middle of doing the zoning regulations modifications, and we don't know if we're going to be able to switch these in without having to come back and do another additional modification. But a lot of them go into effect January 1st. So what we can do, we'll do. And if we can't, we'll wait.
Okay.
That's it. Those are your correspondence.
Thank you. Move on to public hearings. First public hearing and potential action on the following special permit and subdivision applications. First one is SP number 25-02, 100 West Thames Street. Request for a special permit for a proposed bed and breakfast inn with associated site improvements. Property and application of Andrew Bowie. Assessors map 118, block 1, lot 3, zone MF. It was tabled from 8/19/25 and opened 9/16/2025.
Okay, and Mr. Bowie is here, and he also has an engineer, his architect online.
Okay.
The public hearing is.
Good evening.
Yeah, so we don't have to open it. So,
Nope.
Want to hear from Mr. Bowie, or architect?
Jason can speak on my behalf to answer any and all your comments. We've already gone over this, and he's well informed, and he's done an excellent job.
Thank you, Mr. Bowie.
Good evening. Jason Pitts, PITTS from Capital Studio Architects. I'm project manager with them. Mr. Bowie hired us to assist him in this process of the special permit application. I know it's been a couple months now since you first discussed the project, and it's our goal here to help Mr. Bowie get through this and move on with the approval. Mr. Bowie hired Capital Studio Architects back in September, I believe it was just after the hearing, and we've been working closely with him to address all the comments that were made in memo number 1 that was back from August 4th, and then memo number 2, which was recently published the 14th of November 2025. We've responded to those through the OpenGov portal, and hopefully that the response is satisfactory. We are also working with Mr. Bowie to provide him with a code review for the change in use. We will work with the fire marshal and the building official on that, as well as preparing permit construction drawings for him to do the improvements, repairs, rehabilitation, renovations for the proposed bread and breakfast. All those documents will be submitted with the city of Norwich to the corresponding departments. We've already reached out to the building official to set up a meeting so that we can go over our code review. But we are approximately 50% through the drawings for renovations, which, renovations and improvements to just enhance 100 West Thames Street is Mr. Bowie's goal. We provided the narrative, expanded upon what Mr. Bowie had provided previously. So we submitted a revised narrative. We've also responded, like I said, to the memo, and we've updated drawings that were submitted by adding some additional information that was requested in the previous hearings. So with all that information that's now been submitted, we feel that the application can be moved forward, or at least heard and either recommended for approval. And if there's any other questions that arise tonight, we're happy to answer those questions and respond accordingly. So thank you.
So if you'd like, we can just open up my memo number 2, and then if you didn't mind, Jason, if you could go through just the responses to those. I know you did, but maybe we can just verbally respond to some things.
Yeah, because there were a number of things, right?
Sure, certainly. What I'll do is I'll pull up the memo that I posted on my screen here.
It's on the screen. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, so I do see your memo here, and like I said, we did post a detailed response to the OpenGov, and I'd just like to read from that, just so I don't either say something that I haven't already said or say something that is has already been put out there for information purposes.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, give me 1 second, pulling that up here.
His memo on the screen.
Yeah, why don't
His
you, we'll put
response.
your memo on the screen instead, and then I will ask, we'll.
Jason, if you want to share your screen with that memo, that would be.
Certainly, I'll be happy to do that. Absolutely. And you want me to just do the last memo?
Oh, just the most current one, please.
Okay, very good.
That's all been entered in, or is this?
Yep, we have it as part of the record. Yep.
All right.
But you haven't seen it because the stuff just was received today or yesterday.
Right.
And so,
Okay, so here we are. These are our this is our response, and unfortunately, the screen is being blocked half by Zoom, so bear with me.
okay, so I can start that. I will say that for my comments, there was a more detailed narrative on the specific details about the bed and breakfast. That was fine. Number 1 was addressed. Number 2 is the building official and fire marshal had yet to advise on whether the existing unsightly exterior stairs could be removed. So could you answer that question?
Certainly. Yes, the stairs can be removed. We've done an evaluation of the code that basically looks at the change in use. We are moving from an R3 single family residence to an R1 lodging establishment. We have a fully sprinklered building with the improvements and installation of a fire alarm system and sprinkler system. We have a common path of travel from all the most remote points on each of the floors of less than 75 feet. This allows us to go ahead and use the rear stair. This is the east stair that exit off the back of the building, not visible from Cahoon Street or from West Thames Street. That will be the an egress stair off the back of the house. Of course, the first floor has 2 means of egress through the front entry and the rear entry, but the second floor and third floor have sufficient common path of travel that allows us to not necessitate the north and the south stairs, basically the sides of the houses. So we will be removing those.
So Jason, will those become windows where those doorways are, or just going to leave them as doors?
Right. Nope. We will be modifying the openings to either enclose the windows and enclose the doors, or if necessary, they will become a window. sleeping arrangements allow for egress windows that meet the criteria as an egress window. So from each of the sleeping areas, we do have a emergency means of egress through the windows. The windows are huge. They meet all the criteria.
Great, thank you. Then there was some talked about the architect needing to meet with the fire marshal because he was confused about the as-built and the proposed on the floor plans.
That's correct. The drawings that were presented previously have been essentially discarded. Capital Studio Architects has been on site to perform its existing conditions evaluation. We are preparing a full set of permit and construction documents that are that shall include, not necessarily limited to, a cover sheet, a code sheet, first floor plan, second floor plan, third floor plan, building elevations, schedules for doors and or windows as necessary, as well as details as necessary for the project. So it'll be a full set of documents that'll go through the building department when the contractor, Mr. Bowie, applies for a building permit. Of course, that triggers every other corresponding department within the city who have jurisdiction to review those as well.
So number 4, I'm gonna skip right now because they'll have to go to your criteria for the special permit to go over that. So we're gonna skip that. We'll go on to number 5. About the landscaping. There was a little bit of landscaping. Can you speak about how you're going to improve the landscaping and enhance the property for guests?
Certainly, certainly. And this kind of goes in as well as the signage as well. We were proposing to put some plantings along the front and wrap around the front porch area and off to the sides, extend them to the sides a little bit. The exact plantings will be determined by Mr. Bowie and what will be appropriate for the environment here. But certainly he will be maintaining those and caring for those as he'll be the owner occupied. It'll be an owner occupied bed and breakfast. So he'll be running the day-to-day activities of the site with the help of whatever staff might be necessary, whether it be somebody to come in and do landscape for him, or if he's going to do the landscaping himself. So flowering bushes and perennials as requested in the previous memos, those will be accommodated. And then the sign along the front that is visible from West Thames Street, we will detail this and we will design this, but there will be signage provided with lighting and landscaping along the side along the signage. And of course, the signage will comply with the zoning regulations if the number of square feet per linear foot of frontage, those kinds of things. So we'll make sure that the signage is landscaped and lit per the regulations and per the requests in the previous memos.
Okay, and just to speak a little bit about, I think it's that you were going to handle how you're handling the trash, the location of the trash cans.
Correct.
Recycling.
We've modified the drawings so that it shows the location of the trash to be in the rear of the building, back behind the garage, as stated in the previous memos. We will provide an enclosure for that with access to the enclosure. Most likely they'll be either on the stone dust or gravel in the driveway. Potential for a concrete pad out there as well, but it would be enclosed in a wood enclosure with gates and with access doors. So Mr. Bowie would be able to take those to the curb for pickup.
Okay, and then the parking area and the handicap ramp, do you want to speak a little bit about that? I know that they applied recently for permits. I'm not sure that those have been issued yet, but go ahead.
Yeah, I don't believe there's been issued yet. There was a little bit of a question regarding the zoning enforcement officer. I spoke to him actually today. So if the permit for the it's a sloped walk, not a handicap ramp, and I want to make that designation because of the code implications. But the slope walk provides more gentle access and less restrictions than a handicap ramp. But we discussed those, and he's the zoning enforcement officer, Richard Shook, is going to go in and approve the next steps with the building department to go ahead and for them to do their review. Basically, the slope walk by itself actually doesn't even need anything with zoning according to Mr. Shook. They can go in and install that as long as the building department doesn't have any objection to what's being shown. The revised drawings clearly show that the site improvements are being made, and then the slope walk in the back to the parking, will accommodate for accessible parking those with disabilities. So I think what we've done is we've on those drawings they show all the intent and all the requirements that have been requested previously.
Thank you. And then comments 8 through 14 have all been addressed and satisfied. The only thing I'm waiting for originals of the mailings from Mr. Bowie, but you'll look for those. I have copies, so I'm satisfied at this point on that. The only thing I'd like you to go back to is if you would change screens and talk about for the commission, we have the special permit criteria that helps them to make decisions. And so if you could go over that, that's that section 7.7.6. If you could
Certainly.
go through your memo on that, please.
Just a moment, we pull that up. All right, can you see that? Is it
Yep.
the special permit criteria?
Yep.
So essentially, what we did is we took from the from 7.7.6, we took that information, we put it into the memo, and basically our response are they're very similar for a lot of them, as maybe the case for other applicants, but essentially we have a 1850s Italian style residential building that has gone through multiple changes over the years, from a multifamily home to a single family home, and now we're proposing for a bed and breakfast use. The improvements that are being made only enhances the property from a number of perspectives. From being visible from a very well trafficked area on West Ames Street, as well as just overall aesthetics through the repairs and restoration that Mr. Bowie's undertaking. Additionally, I believe, and I could be corrected, the city of Norwich doesn't have very many, if any at all, bed and breakfast establishments. That yes, there are hotels for the area, but by providing a bed and breakfast, it only further enhances the visitors and tourism from surrounding areas to come and stay here and have an experience that is much more desired than, say, just your typical standard hotel lodging. So we believe that these factors contribute to the preservation and development for the city of Norwich. Additionally, when we start talking about improvements to the site, parking, there's on-site parking that exists now, and through the installation of a handicap parking spot with access to the building, it only just further makes it more accessible, more desirable for again visitors and tourists coming to the area. Let's see.
I know paraphrasing, but going through it, because I just, to the commission knows, I did go through the responses and felt they were satisfactory. But I just wanted to make sure the commission has an opportunity to look at them. So if you even just want to go through it really quickly on the screen and kind of look at that, if that's
Certainly.
But definitely feel free to paraphrase each of the sections.
Okay.
Kind of touch base on them.
All right. So again, a lot of these are repetitious. Item number 4 talks about the building itself and what exists there and the development of the land. We're not making significant changes to the building. We're not making significant changes to the property itself. If anything, we're improving it. And they are minor in nature. Certainly, with the elimination of the stairs on the north and south sides of the building, that's going to further bring back the natural and original look of the building. So that's going to be an improvement as well. A bed and breakfast by its nature, it tends to lead itself to a more quiet, more peaceful type environment. So we don't anticipate any disruption to the neighborhood. It's still going to be lodging and sleeping. And of course, in this area, in this neighborhood, that's something that people are going to be definitely receptive to. So let's see, structure. So, the bed and breakfast will be maintained by Mr. Bowie and or his staff. The facility itself is going to be enhanced. It's got a automatic sprinkler system, a fire alarm system. Improvements have been made or will be made to the mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems, as well as overall the finishes of all the spaces. So that'll further enhance the interior and structure of the building. Um, Again, I talked about traffic, and there should be no additional traffic in the sense that people aren't going to be coming and going on a quick basis. It's overnight, at a minimum. But you'd be coming and staying and lodging for multiple nights in some cases. And again, there's parking that is on site, so we don't have to worry about additional traffic coming and going. It's always been either a multifamily house or a single family house. So the accommodations, I mean, there's a 6-car garage off the back. We have a total of 10 spaces. But if you read through the narrative, we have a total of, well, on the first floor, there is one larger 2-bedroom guest suite. On the second floor, there's a 2-bedroom guest suite with additional 4 single-bedroom guest suites. So it's not it's not a huge facility either. And inherently, the bed and breakfasts aren't typically large facilities like a hotel would be. So we talked about parking. This is more about parking. Streets, rights of way, traffic, there'll all be, the traffic from the site exits onto Calhoun Street, which is a buffer to West Main Street. So again, there's going to be no significant increase of traffic there. We talked about the improvements that are going to be made to the mechanical, electrical, plumbing system. So everything's being upgraded. We're not putting any additions onto the property, so we're not closer to the property line in any manner. And in fact, by removing the stairs, we're bringing the building in a little bit more, freeing up more space. Exterior improvements will be made, painting, patching, repair, and the house has a ton of great features. When we first saw the property, from an architectural standpoint, it's a beautiful building, and restoring it and bringing it back to its heyday is something that we were working hard to do by making the improvements. In the 1970s, there was a historic record keeping that was undertaken, and of course this property contributed to that. Being the age of the home and the nature and the design of it, certainly this contributes to the historic nature of the city of Norwich. We are only making improvements to the finishes. We're not making any major changes to the property. And again, if anything, we're going to kind of restore a lot of the features of of its original state. The third floor will be the owner occupied portion of the property. It's actually by code, it's an R1 use for the third floor, with the second and first floor being R3 use. I'm sorry, got that backwards. An R3 use for the third floor and an R1 use for the second and first floor. Mr. Bowie will be on site. He'll be managing the property. He'll be running the property. He will be the person in charge. His office will be located on the first floor off of a fitness room. Additionally, on the first floor for common areas is a sitting lounge area, a small dining area, and a kitchen that serves the guests. Within the units, there will be bedrooms, sitting rooms, sitting areas, bathrooms, individual bathrooms, and a little breakfast nook, if you will. There will be no full kitchens in the individual guest suites. It's not allowed by code. So that's the criteria, the 13 individual lines of the criteria from the ZR 776.
So Jason, so there's a total of 6 rooms for rent, that would six suites, I would say. So 4 1-bedrooms and then 2 2-bedroom suites, correct?
That's correct. And the first floor 2-bedroom suite is accessible.
Okay, good. And then if you don't mind sharing upstairs, how many bedrooms will you have up in your private, quarters?
Oh, just
Yeah.
for my daughter.
So the 2-bedroom, like apart, like
Yeah.
upstairs? Okay. All right, great. Everything has been answered
Okay.
for my questions. I do, want to show the exhibit list real quick, Dan. Do you think you can bring that up?
Okay.
Before you go out to the public. So there is somewhat of extensive exhibit list. There's 24 items in here. Like I said, it was originally a narrative submitted and it was an updated narrative.
Yeah.
Everything is listed here. There is nothing I feel like you need to particularly look at. There was a more recent site plan. It's very basic, but it meets all the criteria and it has the it will need to be stamped because it does have a land surveyor stamp on the original one, but the one we received today did not. So, but it does have the updated approval blocks and things. So if you could waive the reading of that, so I don't have to read those, that would be helpful when you get to a point to do that.
Yep.
Otherwise, unless you had questions for me, I have nothing else.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pitts. Very nice. It is a public hearing, so Ms. Bode, would you like to add anything else?
No, I couldn't have said anything better. He did an excellent job.
Want to go to the public now?
I'm gonna go to public, then I'm gonna go to committee members too. Anybody in the public would like to speak in approval of this, the support? Anybody online or present would like to say anything in support? Is there?
Okay.
Okay. Last time, anybody else want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll make a comment.
Sure, state your name.
I'm here for.
State your name and spell it, please, for
Yeah.
a recorder.
Kevin Brown, President of Norwich Community Development Corporation. Obviously, I'm here for agenda item 3, but in support of this particular agenda item, obviously this can pave the path or set the way for this type of development in a town that sits between 2 of the largest casinos in the world. And it just seems like a great way to add to the capacity that this city has to cater to tourists that are coming in and out. It's a sensible development.
Thank you. All right, anybody would like to speak in opposition of this, either online or in present? Second time, anybody like to speak in opposition? All right, third, anybody like to speak in opposition to this project? Hearing none, I'll ask commission members, do you have any questions? Online, Ella, Kathy, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I think he did a nice job on this and, yeah, it will be nice to see something good happen here. And it sounds like it will be.
Thank you.
The only comment I would like to make is should a commission member want to decide to make a favorable motion that the conditions that I had outlined as in number 14, item 14 of my memo, that those be included as well, and that the reason be stated on the record.
Any other commission comments or questions?
Nope, I'm all set. I like what's been done so far.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're to close the public hearing. Motion to close the public hearing.
This is Ella. I'll make that motion.
First, for Ella to close the public hearing. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that. This is Kathy.
Kathy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. So closed. Do the waive.
There is no waivers.
No, didn't we? I thought you just made a statement we had to waive the reading.
Oh, you could, yeah, that would be
You
good
wanna
if
do
you
that
had made the
officially?
waiver of, yeah, you could do that.
Somebody make a waive the reading of
The exhibit list.
the exhibit list. Do we have
I'll make that motion. This is Kathy.
Kathy? Do I hear a second?
This is Ella. I'll second.
Thank you. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. So waived. Does anybody want to make a recommendation on this special permit?
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit with the conditions as outlined in Deanna's letter or memo. I believe this conforms to the special exception or special permit here, right? Or special exception, special permit criteria. It's consistent with the plan of conservation and development. And I think we should, so my motion is to approve the application.
That's sufficient for you.
Yes, that's
Okay.
fine.
Do we hear a second?
This is Ella, I'll second.
Ella seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Me making a motion.
Kathy made the first. All right, so approved. Unanimous. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Very
it.
Good, Jason, good job.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Been working on this since June, so. Yeah. Andrew, excuse, Andrew, you're.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, we'll be in
Greatly
touch.
Appreciate it.
I'll be in touch.
I know.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, public hearing, potential action, SP number 25-0611 Water Street. Request for a special permit to convert an existing office building to a proposed mixed-use building with 61 residential units. Application of Matthew H. Green, Esquire, property of WW Water LLC, assesses map 102, block 6, lot 62, zone CC zone SFHA overlay. It was tabled from 9/16/2025. So this one's,
You need to make a motion to open the
I'm
public.
gonna
hearing.
reopen this one.
Yep, wasn't, yeah.
Does anyone make a motion to open the public hearing?
Nick.
Nick, first to open the public hearing. Do I have a second to open the public hearing?
This is Ella, I'll second.
I'll a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay. Is someone here?
Sitting right next to you.
Okay, please state your name and spell it, please, for the recorder.
Attorney Matthew Green, MATHEW, GREENE, 300 State Street, New London, Connecticut.
Thank you.
I'm here on behalf of 101 Water Street, which we are looking to create 58 residential living units. As you know, you're familiar with 101 Water Street. It's kind of like on its own little island. It's surrounded, you have the water view on the one side, you have a parking garage on another, a parking garage on another, and then you have some commercial spaces on the other side. So it's kind of on its own little island. What we're proposing is, well, it was the old Thames Plaza, has been vacant for many, I keep going, many years. It was mostly commercial. It was all commercial, and it's been has dwindled over the years. So the owners would like to again make 58 residential living units consisting of 33 studios, 13 one-bedroom, and 12 two-bedrooms. Now, I will tell you that there have been a number of documents and plans uploaded, and they have changed. So I'm here to tell you today that the proposal is for 33 studios, 13 one, and 12 two-bedroom units. Also, we went before the ZBA to get a waiver of the requirement of having more commercial space versus residential. It was granted, and with the caveat that we have 3,000 square foot of commercial space on the first floor, and as such, that is part of the plan that has been presented. The existing exterior of the structure is not planned to change at all. There will be some aesthetic cleanup and makeup, but there are not going to be any additions to the building. There's not going to be any subtractions to the building. There will be some updates with regard to landscaping. There will be a dumpster enclosure down in the parking area. But other than that, there is no There, nothing substantial, and I would say at this point, nothing even minimal. It's very minimal, any exterior improvements. There will be, as I indicated, there will be some landscaping, as you can see in the photos that are in the document that's presented there. There will be some landscaping to make it more aesthetically pleasing and fit into the neighborhood. What's very interesting about this property is that the way it's elevated. You have on the I'm going to get these streets correct here. On the Chelsea Harbor side, the property is there's the parking underneath, and the property is elevated, so there's no first floor from that side. When you go to the Market Street side, there is again, there's no direct access. The first floor is about 8 feet above the sidewalk, and there's never been any access to the building from there. The only access has been from the Water Street side, and it's about 70 plus feet from the sidewalk to the front door. So having this as residential, it's kind of its own little residential type of setting. Again, as I'm indicating, it appears to be on an island, as I like to say, because it's the only building on the block. It's set aside. It's a little bit different. And as we all know, in today's day and age, there is not a market for a lot of commercial space. Let's see, section 2.6.2.4.9 requires a special permit for mixed-use buildings in excess of 20 units, which is why we're here. It requires, as I said, section 6.5.5 requires the square footage of the commercial space to exceed the residential. As I indicated, that we have a variance for that. The total square foot of this building is 34,440 square feet. First floor has about 15,720 square feet. And the upper floor is 18,720. The idea of having this as residential, as I indicated previously, the market for retail, commercial, office space is no longer here. And by having this as a residential complex, the idea is it enhances and it makes use of a building that's been vacant, appropriate adaptive reuse, but it also is going to put hopefully 60, 70 people, residential people, who will help the neighboring buildings to help fill that commercial space that you have right across the way. So the idea is that we're putting residents into downtown Norwich in an appropriate building. The site contains 52 parking spaces. We'll have 2 handicap spaces and 6 EV spaces. This is also an update from what has been presented on both the plan and my prior letter. The 33 studio and 13 one-bedroom units require 35 parking spaces. Well, 2-bedroom units require 18 spaces. As the commercial space is unknown at this time, if we base it on a retail use, 12 spaces would be required. That's 1 per 250 square feet. As such, 65 parking spaces would be required. As I indicated, we have 52. However, if you look at the prior use of office space in this whole building, you would have needed 172 parking spaces. So we are making a substantial reduction in the requirement of parking. As we know, also in the CCD, it is exempt from the parking requirements. I have provided a letter from the city indicating that there would potentially be space in the parking garage adjacent or across the street from Market Street and over on Main Street. But again, it's exempt. That's not a requirement. And as I'm indicating that parking should not be an issue here because the change to residential substantially lessens any requirement for parking. If you were to put a restaurant on the first floor at 15,000 square foot, it took 10,000 square feet of that, you would need 133 parking spaces just for the restaurant. So again, when you talk about something that is adaptive reuse, something that is more conducive for downtown, this use is certainly achieves that, certainly from a congestion, a parking, and a vehicle access, from vehicle access. Section 5.1.3.4 waives requirement for parking, as I indicated, and loading for buildings in the Chelsea Central District. And also section 5.1.8 allows for the commission to modify if we did have a parking issue because you have joint uses in a property, you could consider the uses at different times of the day and reduce the parking requirements. So again, I think 52 parking spaces is more than enough. And certainly in downtown, I don't think any building has 52 parking spaces. The special permit criteria under 7.7.6 has 13 items. A lot of them are, I guess, redundant. They kind of say the same thing, but I would suggest that one, that this proposed use is consistent with the Norwich Plan of Conservation and Development. By having residential, I know that I heard Ms. Rhodes indicate that finally getting to the point of changing or amending the regulations. It's been a long process. We started talking about this a year or so ago. I imagine that there are going to be changes to the regulations that will address residential in the downtown area, which will, again, benefit, not only will benefit the city, and more people downtown, and hopefully filling some of the upper floors with residents and the lower floors with commercial space. The use of this property as residential and limited commercials in harmony with the development in the CCD. There's no proposed substantial renovations of the existing building. Therefore, that makes, again, making the property the minor landscaping and some of the aesthetics that are going to make the property more aesthetically pleasing while maintaining the character of the surrounding properties. There's nothing that's going to be done on this property that is going to be intrusive to any of the neighboring properties. As I indicated, it abuts on 3 streets. The fourth side abuts a parking garage. It's not going to have any effect on the neighboring properties. It's well suited for this change of use from commercial to residential for the reasons that I've stated. Traffic-wise, I've already indicated that it's going to be less intrusive parking-wise. It has already has an entrance on Water Street, an exit on Market Street. That's going to remain. So the traffic flow is appropriate. The building grounds are pre-existing. There is no change that could negatively affect the topography, the traffic flow, the visibility, public utilities, or access or for ingress or egress for the tenants. The use is predominantly residential, include maintenance staff for the tenants and upkeep of the property. So of the 13 criteria, again, I think a lot of them say the same thing in a different way. I think that this project addresses all 13 aspects of the special permit criteria. In the engineer's report, I will, it is confirmed based on the numbers of the cost of development that this is a substantial renovation with regard to FEMA. The FEMA regulations require anything that is in excess of 50% of the value of the building would be considered a substantial renovation. But again, with regard to this project, there is nothing that is going to be done to the exterior of the building that is going to cause any reason to have any erosion and sediment control plan. And I think we had talked about this in a meeting. We talked about having protecting the catch basins for such of the minor work that we've done, but there's nothing that's substantial that is going to change in this building. All of the construction, 98.5% of it is going to be on the inside. So a lot of the issues that are raised by the engineer, I can understand them if there was going to be extensive exterior renovations, but in this particular case, it's not the case. There is going to be, say, a dumpster pad. There are some mechanicals down below, which will have to meet the FEMA requirements. We understand that. The base elevation of the first floor is, I think, in excess of the 14-foot base elevation. So I don't see, unless someone's going to tell me as to why all of these recommendations by the engineer are necessary. A lot of them don't apply to what we are doing, and I think that's what we have to do. We have to look at this from a logical point of view of what we're trying to do. And engineers are engineers, and they don't. I apologize to any engineers in the room, but their flexibility is they look, and we as lawyers try to and try to look at the gray, not necessarily the black and white. And as I went through his report, I think with regard to the FEMA requirements, I don't see that anything that we're doing here. In the FEMA requirements, it says that the statement of purpose is to be concerned about the loss of life, property, health, safety hazards, and disruption of commerce and governmental services, et cetera, et cetera. There's nothing here in this project that is going to affect any of that. Again, all of the renovations are going to be on the interior. And I think if we really go too hard at this, this is what is preventing development in downtown or in these particular situations. You have existing buildings that have been there for a long while. I can't change the building. The building is what it is, so we have to find a way to make it work. So I'm not sure in my communications with Dan that we are going to close the public hearing this evening, but so I am more than willing to hear what we would need to do to address any of the concerns and meet somewhere in the middle. That's all I have at this particular point. The only other thing I would say, and the same thing with the building department. Again, I understand all of that, but I look at this, and again, you can correct me if you see it differently, but I look at this, we are going before a zoning agency for approval. we also have to go before a building official for approval. We also, in doing so, you have to go through a health district for approval. You have certain things we have to go through, and I think tonight we're asking the commission to approve this with the understanding that you can approve the concept from a zoning perspective. But we now, if we can't satisfy the fire marshal, if we can't satisfy the building official, if we can't satisfy the health official, zoning approval is only as good as the zoning approval. So I think there are other steps that we need to go through, and we understand that. So I throw that out there.
Thank you. Comment from staff?
Oh, we have comments.
Sure.
I figured you may.
That being said, we do have the city engineer in the audience tonight. I'm not going to speak for him, but I will just say that there's mainly one key thing here we're looking for, and it is a engineered site plan. We received a site sketch. They did provide us with an A2 survey. They did provide us with a sufficient E&S control plan for what's being done outside, but it's our charge as staff to protect the city of Norwich. And because this special permit is in the flood zone, there are certain things that need to be met. So that's really the one thing. And all the staff is in support of the development. We want to see it move forward. But the one key thing is we need that engineered site plan that has a stamped approval. And everything else, the parking looks good, the landscaping looks good. Everything else on the memo looks good, but and Jeff Dewey can comment if he chooses to.
I'll respond to that. Well, I have asked for a waiver for that. We can provide that. We will provide it.
So my recommendation to the commission tonight would be to continue the public hearing to next month with concurrence that the site plan waiver be denied. But if you're saying now that you'll provide it for next month, then I think we'll be good to go for December 16th. And I don't know if Jeff, if you have anything you want to add to that.
No, I think that's exactly it. All my comments. I mean, I don't think I agree with you in some respects, but at the same time, as one of the requirements of a special permit is a site plan. So if we let you waive it, basically we're opening a door for everybody else to do the same thing.
I fully understand.
And the key thing is the transformer for the building is located below the building. So we need to ensure that it's flood proof and it meets FEMA regulations.
As well as EV parking.
And yes, any utility that's down. So that's really the hiccup here.
And I'd like to just clarify for the record, as the floodplain administrator for the city of Norwich, I just want to clarify for Attorney Green that if this was a single family house and you bought it in the floodplain and you spent more than $50,000, say it was $100,000 value of the house, and you spent more than $50,000 to improve your house on the interior, you now have to make it 100% flood compliant. That is the law. That's the federal law that's passed down through the state of Connecticut, that's passed down to local jurisdictions to ensure that it's done correctly. We are held responsible to make sure that the federal law regarding improvements to properties in the flood hazard area are done correctly and protected for life and property. And so people living in flood hazard areas, you can buy a house there and you can, but once you start improving it, you're now risking everyone's insurance and liability to take care of you because you put a lot of money into a property that you shouldn't be potentially living in, but you chose to live there. And the same thing with this. This was an office building built in the 50s or 60s before we had flood mapping. Now we know what it is. And we have no issue with people living there as long as life and property is protected. So if you were to have storage areas in a basement, there is no basement there, but we would say, no, you can't have storage in your basement. You know, you can't do that. Again, protecting all those utilities needs to be done. Again, we are audited, just so you know, we are audited by FEMA. We are part of our community rating system so that residents of Norwich get a 10% discount because we do such a good job. We voluntarily make sure that the federal law is protected so that people get 10% discount on their flood insurance here in the city. And there's only 16 communities in the state of Connecticut that do that. So we take flood, people living in flood hazard areas very seriously. And we want to make sure that that things are done correctly. And that's why our engineer and Dan and myself are very, careful to make sure that things are done correctly. But again, we realize people are living upstairs and not on the lower level. However, all the other issues need to be addressed.
I understand that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for questions or comments from the commission members at this time. Ella, Kathy, any questions, comments?
I would be in favor of continuing this hearing. I agree with Deanna. I think they have to provide that information. We can't, it doesn't go away if these departments don't approve it. It's up to us to check them off before we actually act on it. So, yeah, I would, my dog's chewing me. I would recommend that we continue this hearing.
Okay, thank you. Ella, any comments, questions?
Yes, I agree with continuing this. I mean, there are some basic requirements that must be met to even move forward, and we don't have those yet. So yes, I think this should be continued until we can get, the full site plans and some of that other information in alignment so we can review it properly.
Thank you.
I agree.
Nick, you're in agreement?
Yes.
Okay, anybody,
The next meeting is December 16th, so if someone makes that motion.
we were still dealing with the public hearing at this point, right?
The public
Well,
hearing is
it
open, so
would
you would
be
just
continued.
continue
Yeah,
the public
continue the
hearing.
public-
Stays open, yeah.
All right,
Need a motion.
yeah, would anybody would like to make a motion to continue the public hearing till December 16th?
This is, I'll make the motion.
Ella, thank you. Anybody second?
This is Kathy. I'll second that.
Kathy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, and we'll continue the public hearing until December 16th.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Move on.
Yeah.
Moving on, public hearing. Sub number 442, 145 Tackle, Oakland Road, 432 Canterbury Turnpike.
Actually, Dean,
Excuse me.
sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry.
Do you want me to get Mr. Green?
Yeah,
Needs to come back in for something.
he's here to represent the last application.
Oh,
So
one of
if-
flip flop.
The commission doesn't mind, we could flip them.
All right, we'll flip flop. I did see
So
the
he
name
doesn't have
twice,
to
but
wait,
I
yeah.
didn't remember that. Sorry, we're gonna allow Mr. Green to go through another one here. Okay, Kathy and Ella, we're gonna go to the next one. Mr. Green's also representing that one. So potential action on the following site plan application. SDP number 1058, 138, 142, and 146 Main Street. Site plan review for a proposed mixed-use development consisting of 20 apartments and 3,992 square feet of ground floor commercial tenant space. Property of T138 Main Street LLC and T146 Main Street LLC. Ernest Toya. Principal application Matthew Green Esquire, assesses map 102, block 2, lots 50 and 51, zone CC. Table from 9/16/25.
And if I may, Matt, before you start this, we need some more information on this one too. So we need the applicant to grant an extension, so there's enough time to hear it in
Right.
December.
So my question that I would like, I guess I'll ask you, I know that I will have to get you more information. But I was wondering if I could start with the presentation and so I can ask some questions and then have dialogue, or should I just have dialogue outside of this? I'll do it either way, whatever you prefer.
Do it outside,
I
that we
think
go
it-
back and forth.
Yeah. Then you can just have a full, smooth presentation for the commission. With
Think I can have a smooth presentation? Okay, All right, then I'll ask for an extension. I'll ask the commission to grant an extension, or I don't know.
Technically,
or
you
am I
would be
granting-
granting
I'm
an
granting
extension
the
to the commission,
I'm
yeah.
granting the extension to the next meeting on December 16th.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So then for the commission, I'd ask that you just table that
Yeah.
till next month, please.
And then I will follow up with you if I have some questions to make.
Yeah,
sure.
give me a call
Okay.
tomorrow.
All right.
It's fine.
Sounds good.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay, do
Thank
we
you.
have, thank you. Do we have a motion to table this to December 16th, 2025? Nick,
This is Ella. I'll make that motion.
Nick made the first. Ellie, you want to be the second?
Sure, I'll second.
Ella seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. We'll table to December 16th, 2025.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Back to sub number 442, 145 Taffel, Auckland Road, 432 Canterbury Turnpike, and 180 Law Lane. Request for a subdivision of approved sub number 437, and to rescind approved re-subdivision number 441 to reduce the total number of lots from 12 to 10. Proposal includes associated lot line adjustments, 3 interior lots, Lot 7, Lot 10, Lot 11, with access over a shared driveway, reduction of the roadway layout, and an increase in the dedicated open space with a proposed public parking area. All proposed re-subdivision changes are to occur west of Canterbury Turnpike. Proposal includes modification and correction of deed restrictions relative to height previously approved for lots 8, 10, and 12 at 75 feet, and Lot 2 at 45 feet to be lots 6 and 7 at 75 feet, and lots 5 at 45 feet. Application and property of the Norwich Community Development Cooperation assesses map 25, block 1, lot 1, map 24, block 1, lot 1, and map 23, block 1, lot 7, zone general commercial and plan development design district. Okay, lot said. Open the public hearing. You have a motion to open the public hearing? Make the motion. Nick makes first motion to open. Any second?
I'll second that. This is Kathy.
Kathy second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. The public hearing is now open. We have somebody here.
You have a bunch of folks here.
All right.
Good evening, Commission. Thank you again for hearing us on this subdivision plan. Before I go into, my name is Kevin Brown. I'm the president of Norwich Community Development Corporation at 66 Franklin Street. And before I go into the introductions of my team, because you're going to hear from each of them, I just want to set the stage a little bit. You're going to hear from our land use attorneys, and they're going to describe to you how this is a compliant plan. And you're going to hear from our engineer, and you're going to hear how it was rightly engineered. And you're going to hear from our wetlands scientist. If he's not over in another public meeting in another town, he's jumping back and forth on the Zoom right now. But before all of those experts hit those points, I just want to start and say, as the economic development guy and the team lead here, this is in compliance with the POCD. It's grow goal number 3, to grow the grandness for this town. And while that's not probably of the first most interest to this body in how you rule, one of the things you rule is the compliance with the POCD, and that is exactly what this does. It's right out of the current plan of conservation development. It does that by growing the grand list. This is an opportunity to grow the grand list in this city by as much as it grew over the 4-year period that's stipulated in the plan of the conservation and development in one project. I think the POCD stipulates that there was a modest 10% growth over a 4-year period. If we can get over the finish line on this, we will have a 10%. We have the potential for 10% growth right out of this project. So I just wanted to get that right out of the way, since that really won't be the bulk of the rest of this conversation here today. You know that this is about the 4th time we've been back, and each time we have refined the plan in a way that balances conservation and development, and balances the neighbors' concerns and our needs to actually grow. And each time we've necked it down and chipped away at the impact of the development, with the most recent attempt in here being the previously submitted re-subdivision that increased the open space from the required approximately 10 acres by the 5% of gross area rule to 38 acres. You might remember we stumbled over those numbers last time. It was 13, we added 25. So now there's a total of 38. You'll see that same thing in this, but I just wanted to point at that because that's just one example of us hearing what you told us when this subdivision for 37 was first approved before it became this re-subdivision. This time it's a much simpler change that we're coming back. It is in part due to some of the feedback and inputs, but also because we just really want to make it a tighter solution. And so this time around, there's no requirement for a waiver for that cul-de-sac road because it's within the regulatory requirements for the length of said road, and we don't have to seek a waiver from you all. And we'll pass that development requirement on to those who are developing in the rear lots that are beyond that cul-de-sac. So that's the major thing that you're going to hear from my teammates on here in a second. All else is essentially the same. So just to close where I started, for me, this is about the fact that this subdivision plan is responsible and appropriate and regulated in the right way. But from my economic development standpoint, it is fully in line with the POCD. So here's who we have tonight. Most of you guys know that our attorney, Mark Block, retired at the end of June. So when we came in July for a similar re-subdivision, began our representation by Zabel and Schellenberg. That evening, you had Brian McCann. Tonight, you'll have his partner, Chris Smith. That will be our land use attorney that'll be on. Then you'll have Jeff Ward from Bowler Engineering, who will get into the details of the plan. You've spoken with Jeff before about this plan. Brian Carey is our wetlands expert. He's the one that's jumping in and out of this thing. And myself and Henry Resnikoff, the project manager from RFP Associates, will stand by for any good questions. So that's the tee up. And now I'd like to pass it over to Chris to give an overview of the project.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Good evening, members of the commission, Director Rhodes, City Planner Daniska. For the record, my name is Chris Smith. I am a land use attorney and counsel with Zabel and Schellenberg, law firm with offices in New Haven. And I appear before you this evening representing your Norwich Community Development Corporation, of which the president is Kevin Brown, that we just heard from. At the outset, I have just a couple of or a few housekeeping matters. And the first is I just would like to confirm with, I believe City Planner Daniska would probably be the appropriate person, that you did receive the notice mailings from Attorney McCann.
Yes, we have them.
Okay, thank you. I also just confirming that the staff, and I understand you are also the agent for the Wetlands Commission, did receive a copy of the approval from the Inland Wetlands Watercourse Conservation Commission and its related reports.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
We did earlier this month.
Okay, thank you. And I note just for the record that there was a report prepared by City Planner Daniska dated November 13, 2025 concerning this application. I would also like to note that as Kevin Brown indicated, that we'll be hearing shortly from Jeff Board, our licensed professional civil engineer with Bowler Engineering. And Jeff's going to walk you through the changes with this re-subdivision relative to a subdivision that you had approved back in January of 2024 that we'll get to in a moment. We do have our wetland scientist, the NCDC wetland scientist, Mr. Brian Carey of Land Tech. He is in a hearing at the moment, apologizes for not being here. And I apologize for not being in person, but thank you for being able to do this remotely. Mr. Carey will be able to respond to any questions that you might have, if indeed any, relative to the wetlands application, which is contained in the report that's been provided to you from your Wetlands Commission. What I'd like to do, with the permission of the chair, is just provide a brief overview of the points that Jeff Board, our civil engineer, will provide more detail on. And first and foremost, I'd like to, this all originated with the commission's approval of the original subdivision for 12 lots for this property, with approximately 25 acres of open space on 350 acres, approximately 350 acres of real property known as the Acom Industrial Center. And this approval occurred in January of 2024. And as Kevin noted, the subdivision designation for that approval is number 437. And I'll come back to that in a moment. I would like to remind the commission that with the subdivision approval, that you're not approving the site development for any of the approved subdivision lots. Any site development of a specific lot would require a site plan and or special permit application to be submitted to the commission, and where they would have to, an applicant would have to demonstrate compliance with your special permit and or site plan criteria. This does not change with this request for re-subdivision approval. Now, after that approval in January of 2024, the NCDC did come back to this commission with modifications to the approved subdivision. And that was approved by this commission this past July 22nd, 2025. This approved re-subdivision provides for, and it's designated 441, provides for 10 lots and approximately 2,386 linear feet of road known as Ackham Way west of Canterbury Turnpike. This approval, as you may be aware, it was appealed by certain neighbors to the Connecticut Superior Court and is pending there. After this appeal was filed from your approval of the re-subdivision in this past July, NCDC reviewed the proposal and determined to bring the subdivision into compliance, so the re-subdivision into compliance, whereby all subdivision and zoning regulatory requirements provided by your regs would be met, whereby a waiver for the length of Ackham Way, again, west of Canterbury Turnpike, is not required. Your regs, as you're well aware, provide that a dead-end street with a cul-de-sac length not exceed 1,200 feet. Your approval in July of 2025 of that re-subdivision, 441, involved a 2,386-foot length road for that component of Ackham Road, again, requiring a waiver. Now, this effort by NCDC and its team to reduce that road length, that portion of Ackham Road, whereby a waiver would not be required, where the 1,200-foot maximum length requirement would be met, resulted in the subject re-subdivision application. What I'd like to do now is just touch upon a few highlights of this re-subdivision application. And then again, I'll turn it over to Jeff Board with the permission of the chair, and Jeff will walk you through some of the specifics. So essentially, this is a re-subdivision, a modification of the plan that the commission approved, the subdivision plan, in January of 2024. And this modified re-subdivision, again, reduces the length of Ackham Way west of Canterbury, from the west of Canterbury, from approximately 2,386 feet to 1,135 feet that you saw with the re-subdivision you approved this past July of 2025. Again, your regulations provide a maximum length of 1,200 feet unless a waiver is obtained. This reduction in the road length results in the elimination of the need for a waiver. The second point is that lots 7, 10, and 11 will be accessed by a shared driveway as permitted by your regulations. Third point, there will be a reduction in the number of lots that were approved in your January of 2024 approval from 12 to 10. There will also be, as again, the reduction of the length of Ackham Road west of Canterbury Turnpike. Would like to note that it reduces the grading. Reduction of public road also limits earthwork and decreases the disturbance footprint of the prior approved public street, which again, you approved in January of 2024. And this will reduce in turn any potential impacts to wetlands. And again, we do have the wetlands approval that occurred, and that is part of the record in this public hearing this evening in the application pending before the commission. The re-subdivision will also provide for an additional 13 acres of open space, where you'll have a total of 38 acres. Again, this is about a 50% increase of what was approved by the commission in January of 2024 with approval 437. Most important, the proposed modifications satisfy your subdivision and zoning regulations and again, eliminate the need for a dead-end street maximum length waiver that was involved in the July 2025 approval. I'd like to note that we just learned yesterday that the neighbors who appealed the commission's approval this past July of 2025 just amended their complaint to challenge the waiver that was included in that commission, in your commission's approval, again, from the July 2025 approval. And again, this re-subdivision that's before the commission this evening will eliminate the need for that waiver. Before turning it over to Jeff Board, what I'd like to request from the commission in reviewing Mr. Deniska's memo or report to the commission dated November 13, 2025, your city planner, Mr. Deniska, does make reference to some potential conditions if the commission was within its discretion to see fit to approve this re-subdivision application this evening. And I would respectfully refer the commission and city planner to page 2 of 4, and specifically to item number that's designated number 15, and to the first bullet that provides, and I'll just read it to you, quote, that the approval of sub number sign 442, this application supersedes and rescinds the approval of 441. What I would respectfully request from the commission is that if you were to approve this application this evening, that approval in and of itself does not void the prior approval from July of 2025. As the commission is probably aware, a subdivision approval does not become effective until it's recorded on the land records. Once it's recorded, it becomes final, subject to any appeals that may have occurred, and that it's recorded on the land records subsequent to that. And if that were to happen, then any prior subdivision approvals or subdivisions that had been recorded would then become null and void. So we would respectfully ask, or I respectfully ask on behalf of the NCDC, that the following language be added to that potential condition. And the language would read as follows, quote, subject to re-subdivision 442 being final and recorded on the land records of the city of Norwich as provided by law, end of quote. So again, that would require that if the commission were to approve this application this evening, that it become final in the sense that if there is an appeal, that appeal would be exhausted, after which my client would have the statutory time period of 90 days subject to obtaining extensions not to exceed, I believe it's 270 days within which to record the map. Upon recording that map and the subdivision becoming final, if there were to be an appeal and being recorded on the land records, then the January 2024 subdivision would be superseded by this approval, as well as the July 2025 re-subdivision that the commission approved and is under appeal. With that, unless there are any specific questions for me, what I would like to do with the permission of the chair is turn the floor over our presentation over to Mr. Jeff Board. Again, Jeff is a licensed civil engineer with the firm of Bowler, and Jeff will walk you through the details relative to the changes that are involved with this re-subdivision application that's before you this evening, relative to, again, the January of 2024 subdivision approval by the commission, and also touching upon the recent proposal from July involving the approval from the commission this past July of 2025. So with that, thank you very much. And go ahead, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
I'd just like to pause here, Mr. Smith, and ask the commission members if they have any questions or comments at this point. Ella, Kathy online? Hearing none. I'll move on. No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, before Jeff gets started, I just wanted to address that last point in that extended language in the condition. It may have been implicit. We're just asking that it's called out. We didn't really know if your language of upon approval meant recording on the land records, and we'd be more comfortable if they had that fine point. So that's about. We can leave that for the final question and answer. But I just wanted to kind of reinforce.
We definitely will have, Dan and I were just briefly speaking, we definitely will have a question for Attorney Smith about that.
I think we can go through
We'll
with.
go through, continue, Mr. Board. Yep. Okay, Mr. Board.
All right, good evening. Thank you, Chris. For the record, my name is Jeff Ford, professional engineer in the state of Connecticut with Bowler Engineering. We're located at 65 LaSalle Road in West Hartford, Connecticut. Happy to be in front of you guys again. I know you've seen me quite a few times on this project, and happy to kind of walk you through this. And I know Chris had alluded to what you're seeing on screen here is basically the previous application that was approved by this commission back in July of 2025. And then underneath it in red was the old roadway geometry that went all the way out to Lawler Lane that was approved back in January of 2024. So every time we've come back before this commission, we've shortened the road a little bit. So I'm hoping this is the last time, because as you'll see in a minute, it's quite a bit shorter. And I think the waiver that we had been seeking, as Chris alluded to, was because this cul-de-sac was over 1,200 feet from Canterbury Turnpike. So that was the big change. One of the benefits about going through this process over the course of a year or two, we had the benefit of getting reviews done by two city engineers. I know Jeff and Brian Long, I believe earlier on, had the benefit of reviewing a lot of this application with us from the very beginning and helping us establish some of the design criteria with the roadway widths. None of that's changing from the previous approvals. They're 11-foot lane widths, 4-foot shoulders, 3-foot gravel strips. There's a 10-foot wide permeable pavers for a multi-use trail on the north side of the road. And this application, and I'll flip to the new plan here in a minute, basically just takes this cul-de-sac and moves it to the east, and it puts it right about in this location here, so that that distance from the end of the cul-de-sac to Canterbury is less than 1,200 feet. So that did a couple things. And again, as we've shortened this road for the subdivision application, it significantly reduced the amount of wetland impacts as well. I believe the last wetlands approval we just received, we had reduced upland disturbance by about an acre and permanent disturbance by like 10,000 square feet. So there was a significant reduction. And then to Chris's point earlier, all of these lots will have to come back before the commission for all of their own stormwater, ENS, site controls, parking, landscaping, all those regs would have to come back before you on an individual lot basis. With that, I'll flip over to this plan here, and this essentially just shows, and I can zoom in. Can you guys see that okay? It's hard to tell on my screen.
Yes.
Great. So this is the 1,200 foot mark. So we're at 1135 to the end of the cul-de-sac, and then the 1,200 mark falls right where that crossing would be, which we're now proposing as a driveway with an easement over lot 11, a private access easement. And then it was alluded to earlier, other than where the old cul-de-sac used to be and the shift to the east, this lot line that divides 7, 11, and 10 basically shifted from the middle of this wetland and down over to the east. So lot 10 got a little larger, 7 and 11 got a little bit smaller. And then subsequent to that, again, the roadway shifted. So we have confirmed with the fire department the turning radius of their apparatus is perfectly adequate for the design of this cul-de-sac. Jeff Dewey's recent memo, there were several comments, and we addressed the majority of them. However, there were a lot of comments that I believe at the previous approval, Jeff had agreed that prior to construction documents, certain structural details would need to be provided. We're coordinating the geotechnical testing now that the roadway is laid out, exactly where we're putting these stormwater basins. Everything will be consistent with the 2024 Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual, similar to the previous two proposals. And then all of the ENS measures are consistent with the 2024 Connecticut Erosion and Sediment Control Guidelines. So from an engineering standpoint, really nothing has changed other than it's become less aggressive, if you will, just by the shortening of this road where we lost about 1,200 linear feet. We did provide plans that showed the detailed site planning piece to it with the multi-use trail. I believe one of the comments that came up from the planner was about the street trees, that this isn't the landscape plan, but they were on the south side of the road, and I think the request had come to move them to the north side, so they provided a little bit of shade to the multi-use trail, which we're certainly amenable to. And then we had provided a full, looks a little messy, and I don't know if you could see it that great, but a fully detailed stormwater management and grading plan where we have labeled contours, grass swales, our infiltration basins, some of the natural best management practices with the gravel strips and grass swales that were incorporated throughout. And again, that had been a culmination of comments received, over the years we've been working through this design. I believe with that, again, we went through all the letters, took no issue. It was a similar letter we received at the last July approval, except this time we did have a little bit more time to react to some of them. So we did submit a response to comment letter to some of those comments that was dated November 3rd that walked through several items. And it's a bit lengthy, but, just in summary, we added hay bales to some areas. We updated some line types and legends. One thing that we will be providing prior to construction, and this was a comment that didn't come up in January, however, it was raised in July by Jeff, and it was a good point that once we start construction, prior to that, we'll want to have some sort of phased ENS plan once we gear up to do that. That's approved by Jeff and the city that makes them comfortable with how this construction will take place. So that is also something in here that we're amenable to, but we do not have at present moment. And I think with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
I think the team stands ready for any questions. I would ask if we could just submit, since Brian is still in his other meeting right now, if we could just submit this written technical memo for record.
Where do you want to enter this?
And I have more paper copies if necessary.
Is this new from tonight?
If we cannot, that's fine.
I'm gonna have to read it out loud.
Okay, I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
This is a technical memorandum for project sub 442, 145 Taphel Island Road, 432 Canterbury Turnpike, and 180 Lawler Lane in Norwich. It's dated November 18th, 2025. It's to the Commission on the City Plan from Brian Carey, PWS, professional wetland scientist. The wetlands jurisdiction, existing approvals, and professional opinion for re-subdivision of approved sub number 437. The Norwich Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission, IWWCC, has already reviewed and approved the plans associated with the subdivision roadway and related site work under permit IWWCC number 2205 and its modification 2205M. These approvals cover all regulated activities shown on the current re-subdivision plans, and no additional new inland wetlands or watercourse impacts are proposed as part of sub 442. I apologize, my reading glasses are upstairs. Who?
The little speakers on. Can they hear you?
You can hear me, Jeff, right? Yeah. I would just note that the latest modification is 22-05M3 for the record. The issuance of these permits is the Commission's formal determination that the roadway improvements and associated regulated activities are acceptable and protective of wetlands and watercourses, and these approvals remain in effect through June 16, 2027. The current re-subdivision application sub number 442 does not introduce any new regulated activities within wetlands or watercourses and does not expand or shift the previously approved disturbance limits. Because all regulated activities have already been reviewed and approved by the Wetlands Commission, the body with exclusive jurisdiction over inland wetlands and watercourses, the Commission on the City Plan is not being asked to authorize new wetlands impacts under sub number 442. Instead, it is being asked to act on a re-subdivision that is already covered by valid wetlands permits. In this context, any claim that the re-subdivision itself will newly pollute, impair, or destroy wetlands or watercourses would be inconsistent with the prior wetlands approvals and the fact that no additional regulated activities are proposed. Based on my review of the updated plans for sub number 442, it is my professional opinion as a professional wetland scientist, PWS, that any conduct or regulated activity associated with the proposed re-subdivision will not result in an adverse impact to any wetlands, watercourse, or intermittent watercourse beyond what has already been reviewed and approved by the Norwich Inland Wetlands, Watercourses, and Conservation Commission. Any conduct or regulated activity associated with the proposed re-subdivision is not reasonably likely to have the effect of unreasonably polluting, impairing, or destroying the public trust in the air, water, wetlands, intermittent watercourses, or other natural resources of the state of Connecticut. There are no additional new or unmitigated inland wetland or watercourse impacts associated with sub number 442. All regulated activities remain consistent with those previously authorized under IWWCC number 05 and IWWCC number 2205M. And I would just add that it's M3. Respectfully submitted, Brian Carey, PWS, Professional Wetland Scientist, Director of Environmental Services for Land Tech, which is located at 518 Riverside Avenue in Westport, Connecticut. That's it.
Dan, thanks and sorry, but we've been from meetings to meetings, like somebody's in Brantford right now, somebody's in Stonington right now.
No problem.
So, Mr. Chair, we're complete.
Wait, okay. I just want to ask the commission members, any questions or comments? Ella or Kathy online? Hearing none.
Yes, I do have a question.
Oh, good question. Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, so can I see the subdivision map again? So they're basically creating a cul-de-sac, and instead they're having a long driveway. Is that correct? And that driveway would be part of a site plan, not part of any subdivision.
Correct.
And that would be a shared driveway. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do our regulations allow for shared driveways?
Yes, they do in this zone.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. And that driveway is going to be how wide?
I believe 36 feet, but I'd have to verify that. And I think ultimately that would come in with the application for whoever's permitting the driveway as part of their design package.
What's the current width of the road, before shortening the cul-de-sac?
Yeah, if they maintain what we currently have, what we worked through with the city engineer earlier on back in January 24, there's two 11-foot lanes, so 22 feet plus 4-foot shoulders. Now on a private driveway, you may not need 4-foot shoulders, so maybe that gets condensed further. But I would assume the two 11-foot lanes would stay consistent, and then we would work with city engineers and or whoever the engineer of record is doing that design work would just have to speak to that at that time.
And Jeff, if you could just go back for me, and maybe it's Jeff Ford, if you could please go back, but it might be Jeff Dewey that can speak to it better. But we followed that road construction based on feedback and input from the city engineer, right?
Yeah, back from Brian Long, I believe. I know that had been done prior to Jeff coming on, but that cross section was worked through meticulously with city staff. And again, it was a 3-foot gravel strip, a 4-foot paved shoulder, two 11-foot lanes, and then a 4-foot shoulder and a 3-foot gravel strip. So when you look at the total roadway, pavement to pavement, it's 30 feet wide.
And for the record, Chris Smith.
That is consistent with industrial driveways in general.
And for the record, Chris Smith and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the approved roadway is 36 feet. So this would go from 36 to 30. That's my understanding. Sound right?
The approved is 30 feet plus 3-foot gravel strips on either side. So 36, including the gravel strips, which wouldn't be asphalt, but 30 feet of asphalt, 36 for total.
And if I can, again, for the record, Chris Smith, just comment on Commissioner Warzeka's inquiry about the driveway. I believe that the driveway would be part of this application, the shared driveway. However, any site development for any of the lots, Commissioner, and members of the commission would be subject to the particular use and whether a site plan and or a special permit is required for that use.
That feature here.
That's exactly right.
Okay, thank you. Staff comments, you want to
Sure.
address the wording now?
That's it from the commission for the moment. I'll go through my memo.
Yeah.
So as was mentioned earlier, I drafted a memo on November 13th. We do have the proof of mailings, as noted earlier. We did refer this to the town of Lisbon as the unchanged portion of the subdivision is within 500 feet. We haven't heard any comments back from them. As Kathy asked, the interior lots is permitted via zoning regulation 2.1, table note J in the PDD zone. I did ask, and Jeff already agreed to in his presentation, that the street trees be moved for the length of Ockham Way to the same side of the roadway as the multi-use path to provide shade for people using said path. Again, I would ask if NCDC is having conversations with a land trust to take over and manage the proposed open space. Just a note about updating the cover sheet of the plan set to include all 3 addresses. Another note, add some lot numbers on a couple pages and some acreage references. And then number 10 here is the staff recommendation that the proposed parking lot for the open space be moved out of the upland review area down the street across from the church on Lawler Lane to provide kind of a privacy buffer from the residents over there.
We've had some discussions that was probably the best thing anyway.
And then, as we've mentioned multiple times, the subdivision, re-subdivision shows building footprints, driveways, and parking for future lots. Those are all undetermined. They're just part of the map set. Every single one of those lots will come back as either a site plan or a special permit approval based on the size of the building or the potential uses that are allowed in the zones. We always ask for a digital file. The record of the subdivision be provided as a courtesy. The city engineer is in attendance tonight. He had a detailed memo that has been mentioned tonight, dated 11/4. I won't repeat his comments, but I'm in agreement with his assessment. And then I do have some notation here. I'd ask to waive the reading of all of these. I think Deanna and I have a question about the first one that Attorney Smith spoke about a moment ago. And then if someone chooses to make a motion for approval, the reason would be it conforms to the City of Norwich subdivision regulations. And I would note to the commission that if a proposed subdivision or re-subdivision conforms to the zoning regulations and the subdivision regulations of the city, you're approving the lines on the map and the roadway. It has nothing to do with potential hypothetical future uses. It's solely this proposal meets the subdivision regulations, it meets the zoning regulations. I'd just like to note that.
Good.
That's it for me.
Okay.
And I do have the exhibit list.
We've been reading, you'll be looking for a way to.
I'll just read it in.
You're gonna read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I already read this memo, so I'll just.
Okay.
No, it's fine. Number 1 is the re-subdivision application dated 10/15/2025, received on 10/17. The deeds along with it were received on 10/17, transmittal sheet 10/17, traffic report 10/17, a letter from SHPO, a letter from DEEP, a letter from the Ockham Fire Department in support, the drainage report, the bond estimate, and the re-subdivision plan set, and the Scrivener error letter were all received on 10/17/2025. The city engineer's review memo was received on 11/4. My memo was 11/13. I do have a memo from the Director of Public Works that is in agreement with the proposed roadway as it laid out and the length. That was received on 11/14 as well. I do have the originals of the certificates of mailing. We received copies on 11/7, and we have a copy of the legal notice of publication from 11/4 that ran on 11/7 and 11/14. And then the last one, number 16, would be the memo from Brian Carey tonight.
All right. Public hearing continues. Is there anybody online or in person that would like to speak in support of this? Or one more time, anybody online or in person would like to speak in support of this? All right, hearing none. Is there anybody here or online? Let's start in here in person that would like to speak in opposition to this proposal? You do?
Yeah.
Please. Please step forward.
Should I identify myself?
Yep.
Mr. Manfredi, Steve Browning, 671 Scotland Road.
Okay.
Norwich, Connecticut, sir.
Okay.
Okay, not an objection, just a question. So evidently, the road is being shortened, so it's under 1,200 square feet. So a waiver is not needed. Is that correct?
Not square feet, linear feet.
Through the chair,
Yeah,
linear feet, not square feet, yes.
Mr. Brown, would you like to answer that?
Yes. sir.
Yes, okay. That's my understanding also, yeah.
Therefore, they're not finalized, because obviously the road is still gonna cross the brook at a certain point, and, you know, after it's built out to eventually lot 10, it will be still be crossing wetlands, correct? Major wetlands.
The shared driveway as proposed would cross the brook, which would
Byron Brook.
to the Wetlands Commission first for review and approval before it ever made it to the Commission on the City Plan.
And I'm a little confused because I thought there was like $11.2 million from the state of Connecticut, which was going to pay for the entire build, you know, from the highway up to across Byron Brook, and that was put through by the state legislature a couple of years ago.
Mr. Brown,
what
would you like
happened?
to address
I
that?
can. I don't know that it's relevant to the
No, I
approval
don't
of
need
the
nobody.
subdivision, so it's up to you gentlemen and
Yeah.
ladies if you want me to.
Address that to see if there is some relevance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm sorry, who's on the other end? Is that Chris?
Yeah, I was just, Chris Smith, for the record, I was just reiterating I was going to say your thought there, and it's not really relevant, any funding to the proposed subdivision before the commission this evening, and I would respectfully submit that. Thank you. And that's something that if Mr. Browning does have questions for Mr. Brown as to those types of issues afterward, I'm sure that Mr. Brown would be more than willing to discuss them with him. Thank you.
Okay.
Leave it at that.
I just have one more comment, but what would be connected is the fact that because because the road is being pulled back and the development is being changed, then that is not that the current wetlands, Byron Brook, AKA, will be part of the subsequent development leading to lot 10, correct? Meaning when you develop lot 10, you have to then build the road across Byron Brook, which means you have to go back to wetland.
Which is exactly what.
Yes, the
Yeah.
proposed shared driveway that's shown on the plan set would have to come back for Wetlands Commission approval.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else would like to speak in opposition online? Anybody else would like to speak in opposition? Last time, anybody would like to speak in opposition to this online or in person? Okay, hearing none. Any motion to close?
Before you close, we
Need to do something?
Yes,
Close?
before you close the hearing, we need some clarification from attorney, please.
Okay, and the wording?
Could you put him back on for a second?
You want to see them?
Yeah, if I could see his face and visual. So in Dan's the comment in the memo about the rescinding, Attorney Smith, my concern would be, and I guess I need you to reiterate or to clear my mind, the concern would be that the re-subdivision 441 would still sort of be out there. And I'm always a cross your T, dot your I kind of person, and afraid that somebody might come in, somehow convince the chairman, oh, you need to sign these, and then they got filed after 442 or something. And I just want to make sure that somehow it was documented that this was the approval that you were seeking. So I don't know how, just to make sure that that doesn't happen.
And Director Rhodes, I certainly appreciate your thoroughness. I'm just wondering how best to achieve that. So the only way that somebody would have to be able to get a certificate that would probably come from your office.
But they bring the Mylars in, and I'm just
Right.
telling, like, in the worst case scenario, they bring the Mylars into our admins. They call the chairman, come over and sign it, and then call them and tell them to come pick them, somebody to come pick them up and file them. And that's the concern, the things that somehow we would be out of the loop, and another set of re-subdivision plans get filed. So I guess it's just making sure that we're protected so that the clerks doesn't, because anything that comes to them, that they will file.
Well, and if something were improperly filed, it would not have a valid approval, I guess.
Right.
I would suggest possibly discussing, that post-decision procedure with your counsel. I understand Attorney Brantz does work with the commission, and I'm sure that Mark or Attorney Brantz would probably have an idea on how to help ensure that. But I think that really would be an administrative matter, which
the letter of approval would have this language in it, but I think that would definitely need to be bolded and put into something. So I guess the question is, if I can see, Dan's, the language that you wanted corrected, one second, or not corrected, but modified.
Yeah.
I just was the first bullet point, that the approval of I'm going to read what I think that you said, that the approval of subdivision 442 supersedes and rescinds the approval of subdivision 441, subject to re-subdivision 442 being final and recorded on the land records as required by law. Is that the language you want?
That is correct, Director Rhodes. Yes.
All right. So if any of the commission members are listening, that would be the remainder of that sentence. I'll say it again. After that period, remove the period, subject to resub 442 being final and recorded on the land records as required by law. Which is what our intention is. It was never anything different than that, but I guess I worry about things floating out there.
Well, and again, on the flip side, we weren't sure that it was implicit. We wanted to make it explicit.
Yeah.
So I think we want the same end result here. It's just how the words are comfortable to me.
I'm just thinking, Director Rhodes, and perhaps something along those, a copy of this approval, if it were to be approved by the commission, be included in the file for 442, and perhaps something be added to 442 as a protection. Just so it would be red flagged if, like you said, worst case scenario, somebody comes in with Mylar, staff doesn't realize it. But if it's in the file I'm sorry.
The approval letter would be required to be on the plan set.
So maybe I understand. I apologize. I do understand that. I was just trying to think of a way to do something with 442.
No, not 442, the 441. So what we'll do with 441 would be kind of put a copy of this letter of approval in there and make a rescinder.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I had it reversed. Sorry, Director Rhodes. Exactly. I was trying to figure out a way to do it with 441. My apologies. Okay. But thank you. That is correct relative to the requested language to be added to that particular bullet in that condition, if indeed the commission were to see fit to approve it. And I apologize for mixing up 441 and 442.
Okay.
Which is different than 437. But anyways, thank you.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion to close the public hearing? Nick makes a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
This is Ella. I'll second.
Ellen second. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
That's unanimous. The public hearing is closed. Would anybody like to make a motion? Either in support
I would like to ask Deanna to read that sentence again about the approval of subdivision 442,
Sure. So
proceeding.
you're looking on the screen, you'll see bullet point number 1.
Yeah, I got that.
That the approval of subdivision 442 supersedes and rescinds the approval of subdivision 441, subject to re-subdivision 442 being final and recorded on the land records as required by law.
Okay, so would there be, because 441, is that already on file with the town clerk's office?
No,
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that changes things then. All right. Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay, ask again, does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Nick's making a motion to approve.
With those conditions.
With the conditions stated.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Kathy, second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Who was that?
Did Ella, did you vote?
My vote is a no, I'm sorry.
Okay, those opposed? Ella? Okay,
Was Kathy, yeah.
Kathy was a yes. Okay, the motion carries.
And you voted no.
I did.
Mhm.
Okay, do we have finished with this?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Who was the second on that?
Thank you.
Thank
Kathy.
you.
Kathy,
Kathy
second.
seconded.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, second and approved. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So we already handled 1058.
Six, yep, so we're other business.
Yes, we have a ZBA referral. This is a use variance, so, use variances require a favorable or unfavorable referral back to them for their, decision making. So I'm gonna read the memo to you and we'll answer any questions you have. To the Commission on the City Plan from Richard Shuck, Zoning Enforcement Officer, dated November 18th, 2025, referral, use variance application, variance number 2513-307 Main Street, zoning district, Chelsea Central. The applicant seeks a use variance of section 2.62 of the Norwich zoning regulations to permit the establishment and operation of a philanthropic and illusory use related to the operation of a seasonal warming shelter to be operated by a recognized nonprofit charitable organization. The property is owned by United War Veterans Grand Army of the Republic under the control of the city of Norwich by means of a lease. And the application has been submitted by Joshua Steele Kelly on behalf of TVCCA. The subject property is located in the Chelsea Central zoning district. While the Chelsea Central zoning district allows a range of commercial institutional and mixed-use activities, a seasonal warming shelter defined by its provision of overnight accommodations and social service-based residential activity is not a permitted use in the district. Because the use is not allowed, a variance is required. In accordance with 7.10.2.5 of the Norwich zoning regulations, applications for use variances must be referred to the Commission on the City Plan for review and comment prior to action by the Zoning Board of Appeals. The property has historically been used as a short-term warming center during cold weather protocols, but not for extended nightly seasonal shelter operations. A lower level floor plan was provided as part of the variance application materials. The plan depicts the temporary layout proposed for the facility, including multiple numbered sleeping areas, a restroom, a kitchen, and associated support rooms on the lower level. This documentation confirms that the proposed operation includes overnight accommodations and residential type activities, which reinforces the need for a use variance because such activities are not permitted within the CC zoning district. If the Zoning Board of Appeals grants the use of variance, the seasonal warming shelter would become legally permissible at this location. However, the approval would not change the underlying zoning district or convert the use into an as-of-right activity. Any future review would need to apply the appropriate regulatory standards for social service residential uses, including life safety, fire code, parking, loading, occupancy, and operational review. At this stage, the application does not include a full operating plan, a floor plan for upper levels, parking analysis, or life safety evaluation. Additional information may be required during subsequent permitting, depending on the level of renovations, expected occupancy, and building classification under the Connecticut State Building Code. No additional zoning variances have been identified based on the submitted materials though this determination may change upon receipt of additional documentation. And then the attachments was the variance application, a butter notification, floor plan, and supporting materials. Please review and comment according to this request. So I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version. The 307 Main Street is the Buckingham Memorial Building. It's been used historically, well, last year, and then for many years before that, there was a gap of time, as the emergency warming center. So on cold weather protocols days, it was open, and it was used for that purpose. However, this request is not to use it only on cold weather days. It's for 16 people maximum, for two staff being there, and it'd be open from December 1st to March 15th from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So this would, again, just reiterating, the reason it's a variance is during emergency operations, a government building such as, we have the lease on this building, can be used for those kind of emergency situations. Not be necessarily emergency situations. It would be operational from December 1st through March 15th as a cold weather shelter. So that's why the zoning variance is needed. Is there any questions?
Ella or Kathy, any questions?
Nope, no questions.
So from a staff point of view, we don't see a real change except for it's the frequency. The frequency is nightly. Right. But it's the same month that we would normally have emergency protocol. It's sort of going through, as far as we look at it, kind of through the process to get this so that they can have this as a nightly thing. This is not the long-term solution for TVCCA. It only is allowed to have 16 people to be sheltered there during this time. They have a much more greater need, and they are looking for alternative locations to come for a full commission application in a zone that would be allowed. And they're hoping to do that after this season is done and get right on it. We were hoping last year that after it got some money in June, that they would come quickly with another application for a location, but they did not get that locked in. So this is the best case scenario right now to be able to do this. If the variance is granted, it does run with the land. It would be allowed for these months and for these daily use for a nonprofit should the city allow it to be there. So
it sort of answers my question is, if this is fully approved, what's the time frame? Is it onward or
onward? A variance runs with the land, so it does not go away.
So it goes with the land. But my guess is they want something bigger and better than this.
Yeah, this
is just pretty much, I'm looking at it as a stopgap.
That's
exactly. Although it still be tied to land.
Right.
But
the likelihood someone else would operate it for 16 people,
yeah.
The city would have to agree to be able to let someone to do that. And if another operational shelter comes into effect, we probably would never use this again for that. But for this season, it would be, it's the answer. It doesn't, it's the best solution that we have for this.
Control that we don't lose.
Yes.
Okay.
Deanna, I have a question. So the building is owned by?
It's the GAR that owns that, United War Veterans Grand Army of the Republic, but really don't exist necessarily anymore. So it's leased by the city. The city maintains it basically in all essence. We maintain it, take care of it, do everything there. We control it, but we don't own it. So, but we have the authority to sign off for the application. So John Salomon will, because we have the full authority of the leasing of the building. Basically, we take care of all of it for them. It's a tricky ownership thing because it's spread out public.
Right, and the fact that, you know, once this is approved as a variance, it goes forever, no matter who owns it. So the city could sell it at some point in time, and then that variance is on the record for it.
But again, it's so limited, it doesn't really work for many. It's 16 people from 7 to 7, you know, that's it, only from December through to March, the date that they're showing. So it's not like it would be year round or, it's not really the best situation for, if someone wanted to open a shelter, this wouldn't be it. This is the stopgap, like we were saying. This is something to keep 16 people off the street in the cold.
Oh, yeah, I don't have a problem.
So,
what are you looking for?
So we need a favorable or unfavorable recommendation regarding this variance request.
Okay, would somebody like to make a favorable or unfavorable recommendation?
I'll make a favorable.
Nick, first with a favorable, second,
This is Ella. I'll second.
Ella seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Kathy?
Yeah, I said aye.
Okay. All in favor, unanimous.
Okay, recommendation.
Thank you.
Okay.
Number 2, other business?
We have a presentation from Jeff Dewey, the city engineer.
So I got this figured out to about 45 to 50 minutes.
Second, oh my God, did you see her?
Big as a tie, just amp it up.
Oh, no, we're not doing it. So as you guys know, Hunters Road is like a mile long. So roughly about half of it, 0.4 miles. We're going for a lot zip application to improve it. The road, the right of way is 70 feet down to 30 feet in areas, and the road width goes from 40 feet down to 23 feet in areas. It's all over the place. So it's a hazard. And plus the intersection with where Manicore Ave hits it, it's a horrible, if you're sitting in Manicore and you're trying to look east, you can't see anything until you're all the way out into the travel lane. So we're going to LOTSIP to get money to fix the road and the 2 bridges there. And we split the road in 2 pieces because we didn't want to go for the whole road in one shot because it would be so much money, we probably wouldn't get it. Okay. So we're looking at around $3 million to go from LaPorte down to Norwich Ave and improve this whole section. And basically I'm here, as part of the LOTSIP application, we have to do a public informational meeting, so.
Do you need us to make, do they need to make a motion in favor of the application or support?
If you,
I
don't think it would hurt.
it's certainly not gonna hurt it, yes, and so actually, so the minutes, if it reflected that I think that would be a
The
positive.
support of the application for this LOTSIP application.
Question, where are the monies coming from and?
The state does 80% and the city does 20.
80-20, okay.
Yep, for design and construction.
So 3 million for the first part, and what's the balance? Another 3 or?
Oh, no, it would be much cheaper. For the rest of the road, it'll probably be about $1.5 million, 2 million.
Okay.
But you're not asking for that right now.
No, correct. This
So
is
Jeff, this
phase
is-
1 will
Well, repaired multiple old culverts.
Yeah, so there's right by where the pond is that you can see almost in the center of the map, there's 2 crossings in there and they're old box culverts. They're falling apart. And that's really a lot of what's driving this is, you know, we don't have the money to replace both those bridges.
Okay.
And then there's a smaller one down here, correct?
Yes.
So roughly 4 million cost of Norwich for the whole project. You said about 5.
No.
No, because we're
No,
80% state, we only pay 20%.
Yeah, oh, 8, I flipped it the other way, sorry.
Yeah.
1. Deal.
Much better deal.
So does someone want to make a motion that we support the submission of the LOTSIP application?
I'll make the motion.
Nick does.
Second, anyone wants to second the motion?
I'll second.
L is second. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for being here tonight.
Oh my God.
My pleasure.
All right.
Staff report?
Staff report. We're reminding everyone, we have a December 2nd special meeting that we're only going to be talking about the zoning regulations. We're gonna try to do it more of an in-depth dive, kind of gonna quickly go through chapters, kind of telling what each
Yeah,
chapter's about.
it'll be Cliff Notes plus,
Okay.
not all 200 pages.
No,
Okay.
but
I just wanted to let you know, I will not be at that meeting because December 2nd is when like the new mayor and council and board of ed get sworn in.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
And what's the timing of that meeting? Is it evening?
it was 5:30.
5:30.
Yeah.
What time is your meeting that night? Do you know, Ella?
I don't know.
Is it the regular 7 o'clock that they do, or 7:30?
It might be, but I'm not
If it
sure. I can
is-
double check on that.
If it is, do you think you could make it to a 5:30 virtual meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
we'll you can look into it, but we'll also send you an email when we find out.
Okay. And I also want to let you know I will not be at the January meeting. I'm actually going to be on vacation.
Congrats.
Okay, make sure we,
But
remember that.
we're onboarding some people.
Yes, I was just gonna say that.
heard
So last night we got, I don't have the list in front of me. I'm sorry. I know one of them is Regan Minor. And she is appointed there. So we have 3 alternates that will be, appointed, what were appointed last night. And the only reason I remember Regan, because she was excited and sent me an email. And so, so we, I think, a mix of different parties, and she's unaffiliated. And I think that, so, it'll be interesting, but we finally have a full commission, which I think is really good. We can't say that for our ZBA, and then the wetlands, I think you're still short, or are you good now?
We're getting close for wetlands.
CBA, so if you know friends and family there that might be interested in zoning board of appeals, they really are looking for members on that commission. So, what else, Dan, is there? We're so busy.
Nothing,
No
there's
idea.
nothing else. It's just the zoning regs in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Oh.
zoning regs and pending applications coming after the new year. We hope everybody has a nice Thanksgiving holiday, because we won't meet till after, and then December 2nd, hopefully we can see everyone here, and we're gonna get the, like I said, the alternates on board, hopefully just so they can understand what's going on. And Dan and I on Monday, hopefully we'll have 10 minutes with the new council members to explain their responsibilities with being the zoning authority. So, that it's a different hat when you're on the council, to take that off and put the zoning hat on, and hopefully they'll understand that this is a project that's been working on since 2023 adoption of the POCD, and that, we hope that things don't get, baby thrown out with the bathwater for changes. You know what I mean? We've been working collaboratively on these regs for so long that we just need to get them.
Many stakeholders and departments.
Yeah.
They will be posted online previous to the December 2nd meeting.
We'll send you the link for that, so you can.
Probably a few days before Thanksgiving, so I know everyone would rather read those than go shopping over the weekend.
Yeah.
I will not be reading them. I'm tired of looking at them.
And,
But
but
if you have a moment, take a glance through before we have that meeting.
we are still under fire, like looking, because like said, the statutes changed, and we don't know. Some of those things we might have already addressed in our new regs, but some of them we haven't, maybe. And we just don't have the time right now. We need to get these done. Our consultant time is over. And
Mark Brantz is reviewing them for us now from a land use legal perspective. So hopefully we can get all of his comments incorporated by next Tuesday. Because I really want to take Wednesday off. So that's the goal.
All right, guys, that's it for us.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
This is
Nick?
Ella. I'll make that motion.
Ella, right. Ella made the first, Nick seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
What time is it ending? 9?
Nine.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.